Michigan was predicted to finish fourth in Jim Harbaugh's first season as head coach. But this hasn't stopped people from betting on Michigan to win it all. Michigan is one of the most popular bets to win the national title, according to Westgate Superbook. Only 4 teams have attracted more money than Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines to win the national title, where they are a 100-1 long shot. Skip, what impact will Harbaugh have this season?
Stephen A., Molly, I think he'll have a huge impact. When I first read this story, I must admit I was stunned by it until I started looking harder at a cupboard that I don't think is bare at the University of Michigan. I'm a Harbaugh fan, Jim Harbaugh fan. Brother too, but Jim especially, because nobody can change a culture quicker than Jim Harbaugh can. He can be a little crazy, a little quirky, but good crazy and good quirky. I think he can have a quick impact on a young man's mind, maybe more so college players than even NFL players, though he was wildly successful quickly, I thought, in San Francisco with the 49ers. But if you look back at the impact that Jim Harbaugh had right out of the box at the University of San Diego when he took over, first-time head coach, Stephen A., he goes 7-4, 7-4, 11-1, 11-1. Then he goes to Stanford, and he goes 4-8 the first year, 5-7, 8-5, 12-1. Had Andrew Luck those last 2 years, freshman and sophomore, but still completely changed that culture. And publicly, if you recall, went after Pete Carroll, the great Pete Carroll at USC. Remember at the end of that 55-21 shocking upset in 2009 at the Coliseum, Jim Harbaugh went for 2 late, and Pete Carroll asked him after the game on the field, what's your deal? And Harbaugh says, what's your deal? Well, he just doesn't care. He's Jim Harbaugh, and you're not. And I think that will rub off quickly on a Michigan team that does have 10 starters back on offense and 10 starters back on defense. And he managed to land the kid from Iowa, the transfer, who's now actually in graduate school, that Jake Rudock, who is pretty good at Iowa. Started 25 games, went 15-10. Hey, so Jim Harbaugh has a veteran Big Ten quarterback to work with to replace a Darren Gardner. So I don't think that cupboard's there. So, again, I'm not a betting man, but if you said Michigan's 100-1, which they've been, would I put $20 on it? Yeah, I would. Now again, the problem is opening game at Utah, they're already a 5.5-point underdog. But watch Harbaugh pull that one off. And this year he does get Michigan State, Ohio State at home. So I don't know. I can see where people would say, I'm going to risk X dollars because I think this is a good sort of long shot bet to put a little money on. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a groundswell of support for Jim Harbaugh.
Well, as long as it's a risk and it's recognized as a risk, I have no problem with it, because that means you're placing your blind faith in a Jim Harbaugh, who I believe is big time. I'm a fan of his as well, even though I love his brother just as much, if not more. I'm a John Harbaugh fan. This man can coach. He's done a lot of great things at Baltimore. They've been consistently competitive. And I think that when you talk about, to have a conversation about Chip Kelly, talk about somebody who's the antithesis of what we're saying about Chip Kelly in terms of the way they come across. John Harbaugh, along with Pete Carroll and others, they just resonate in terms of the relatability factor that works in their favor when it comes to communicating with the modern-day player, okay? Having said all of that, Jim Harbaugh's big time. And you got to remember, in their schemes this upcoming season, they're going to be playing both a 3-4 and a 4-3, which means that they've got like 28 guys on the defensive side of the ball. Skip Bayless, 24 of those guys were there last year. And this defense is considered legit and potentially big time. So I can understand how you can't sleep on Michigan, because their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, and it's going to have something to say about an outcome. Rudock, this is a guy that threw just 5 interceptions last year. He was second in the Big Ten in completion percentage, completing about 61.7% of his passes. I get that part. Here's where my problem lies. They were like, what is this here? 112th overall, just 333 yards a game. Their receivers are no names. Their running back, Derek Green, you're looking to see what he's going to do. We don't even know if he's going to start. We don't know who the starting receivers are going to be. We barely know anything about their tight ends. We know that they've got an offensive line that is returning, and they've got a bunch of defenders that are returning. So one could argue they're going to be able to run block. They're going to be able to pass block, which means Rudolph will be protected. And as a result, we hope, based on efficiency, because they're thinking about ball control, protecting the football more so than anything else, and basically not beating yourselves as opposed to making things happen. So I expect a lot of close games, a lot of tight games, and who knows what could work in their favor with Jim Harbaugh as their coach. But to win the national championship, Michigan State is in your conference, Ohio State is in your conference, Wisconsin is in your conference. I can't see that. I can't even. I mean, they'd be lucky to make a bowl game, and I'm predicting they will because Harbaugh's the coach. They will be respectable enough. They won't go 5-7. They'll be an above 500 team. But I just gave you 2 automatic losses, and I think a third is likely as well. That's what I look at when I see Michigan. I'm looking at the schedule right now. I mean, look, I can't even rule out BYU, to be quite honest with you. Anything's possible. They got Maryland. I expect them to be Rutgers. Minnesota could be a threat, Skip. Minnesota could possibly beat them. And listen, Franklin's not doing a bad job at Penn State. And that's at Penn State. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay. They'll be above 500. But don't talk to me about national championship when you got this putrid offense at your disposal. I don't even know who the receivers and the running back's going to be. I'm not picking Michigan.
Okay,
that's ridiculous.
Remember, all those returning question marks that you just brought up, none of them were coached by Jim Harbaugh, and now they will be. And I'll go on record. I'll go ahead and predict this. I will bet you Jim Harbaugh knocks off one of those 2 giants that come to his place this year, to the big house. I'll bet you he'll beat Michigan State or Ohio State. One of the 2 he'll beat them.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Maybe I'll get you to treat me to dinner for a change like you've been lying you were going to do for years. Maybe you'll finally pay up. I'll take that bet. They ain't beating Michigan State or Ohio State. Oh, no. I'm not going that far. Now, maybe Wisconsin, Penn State, but Michigan State, Ohio State? Oh, no. What bet are you offering? I'll take it. I'll take that one.
Wait a second. When we were on vacation and we had that 4-hour lunch in New York City, who paid that day? I'm asking. Who paid?
I don't recall.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't recall, Skip. Hey, Skip, right. Didn't I order everything that day?
You ordered twice. Yes, you did. Can I have some more of that, please?
I did. I can't deny it. I had fun with that one. It was kind of expensive that day, too. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Once in 20 years, I'm so touched.
I love you, man.
I'm so touched.
Skip, instead of saying hail the victors, they're going to be saying hail to you, Big Blue, hearing that. They've lost to Ohio State 10 of the last of 11, and they face off in the Big House November 28th. So all Michigan and Ohio State fans we know will be looking forward to that. Moving on.